When I was a kid, I got lots of advice. From my parents.
Keep your elbows off the table.
From my neighbor.
Hey you! Get off my lawn!
And advice from my friends.
Dude, if you hit the ramp fast enough, you'll totally clear the garbage cans.
Fun fact, I did not clear the garbage cans. I did, however, meet them personally. But then, there was advice from my teacher.
There's no such thing as a dumb question.
And I'm glad to say, unlike that other advice, this one stuck. Because basically, that's what this podcast is built on. Right here, every week, we post some weird, unusual, and often strange questions as we attempt to solve life's little mysteries. So, if you're ready to heed the advice of one very wise teacher, we are glad you're here. Oh, and for the record, my elbows? They're on the table right now, okay? Welcome to the podcast that answers some of the questions you've always wondered about.
It's the Always Wondered podcast.
Hi, I'm Rick Peterson. Thanks for joining us. There are plenty of inventions we love. Air conditioning, donuts, G.I. Joe with Kung Fu grip,
hands that grip.
But there is one invention that we have come to despise. So have you always wondered the origin of the alarm clock? We curse it. We smash it. We throw it across the room. But it keeps coming back, like a mechanical mosquito screaming directly into your soul. But once we existed in a much simpler time. We rose with the sunrise or the call of the rooster. That is until the Industrial Revolution, when factories basically said,
"Hey, if you're late, you no longer have a job."
Now, you may think this is where the alarm clock comes in, but not quite yet. First, humanity invented one of the most bizarre professions ever. They hired people to knock them up.
What?
Okay, let me rephrase that. These people were called knocker-uppers. Real human beings were paid to walk around before sunrise and knock on your window.
Wake up, you sleepyhead.
Sometimes they used sticks, sometimes batons, sometimes even pea shooters.
Ow! I just got a vegetable in my eye!
And the knocker-upper's job wasn't done until you physically proved you were awake.
Get out of that bed, Gerald. I swear I'll stand here all day.
In 1787, one of the first mechanical alarm clocks was invented, which was great, except it only rang at 4 a.m. Yeah, 4 a.m. Forever. But later, in 1847, we saw the first adjustable alarm clock. Now, for the first time in history, you could choose exactly when you wanted your dreams destroyed. And today, we've evolved into a society where our phones wake us up with gentle chimes. Except, of course, if your phone's software updates overnight.
Hey, how come my alarm didn't go off?
You know, this never would have happened if you just hired me to lurk outside your window every night.
So, whether it's a Victorian stranger with a stick, a very vocal rooster, or your phone aggressively playing calm ocean waves like it's an emergency, the alarm clock has always had one mission: to end happiness precisely on schedule. And tomorrow morning, it's coming for you again.
It's the Always Wondered podcast.
Have you ever noticed that one of humanity's go-to gestures is flapping a hand around in the air like you're swatting at invisible flies? And the strange thing is, everyone knows exactly what it means. So have you always wondered why we wave to say both hello and goodbye? Now, historians believe that waving hello goes way back. It became a practical way for our early ancestors to say,
"Me ugh, hand empty. No need to stab ugh with pointy stick."
Yes, anthropologically speaking, the wave was humanity's original smiley emoji.
And over time, the hand wave became less,
Please don't impale me with your sword.
and more.
Hey, nice to see you.
But the weird thing is, somewhere along the way, we decided,
Hey, you know what would also be great? Using the exact same gesture when we leave.
yeah, you'd think it'd be a completely different motion. I don't know, maybe showing the back of your hand or something. But nope, the goodbye wave was basically a way to say,
See? I told you I wouldn't stab you with a spear.
and oftentimes, unfortunately, the goodbye wave can turn into a test of endurance, like when someone is slowly driving away.
Keep waving, honey.
But they're nearly a block away! My arm is ready to fall off!
Sweetheart, they're my parents. If we don't wave till they completely leave our line of sight, we'll never hear the end of it. Bye now.
So no matter what kind of wave you prefer, the window washer, screwing in a light bulb, windshield wiper, the over-the-shoulder barely turn-around cool person wave,
Later.
or the minimalist half-nod, half-wave, let's not make this a whole thing hybrid,
Sup?
know this. You are participating in one of humanity's oldest, strangest, simplest little traditions. And honestly, it might just be the nicest thing we do all day.
The Always Wondered Podcast.
Okay, how many times have you seen this at the office?
This report is not what I asked for.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Steve.
Yep, someone just passed the buck. Now, we all know what it means, dodging responsibility. But have you always wondered where the phrase pass the buck came from? We go back to the 1800s, the place, the Wild West, a land of outlaws, tumbleweeds, and questionable accountability. Inside a dimly lit saloon, a high-stakes poker game is underway. Tensions are high, mustaches are aggressively waxed, and you've seen enough cowboy movies to know what happens when one player loses a hand and accuses another player of dealing from the bottom of the deck.
Why, you no-good, grass-bellied sidewinder, you.
Soon the whole saloon is busting chairs, smashing whiskey bottles, and someone's getting tossed through a window. So the players came up with a clever way to hopefully keep things honest and fair. They would pass the buck.
An actual deer?
Nope, the buck was a knife, often with a handle made of buckhorn.
Deer antler?
Yep, it was used to mark who was responsible for dealing next. And if someone didn't want the responsibility, they would say,
I'm passing the buck.
as they slid the knife to the next guy, which basically meant,
At least they can't blame me no more.
and the time-honored tradition survived long after the saloons faded. And for better or worse, it lives on today in the workplace, like in those email chains, you know, the ones titled,
Per my last email.
So the next time you see someone dodge responsibility and potentially shift the blame to someone else, maybe go easy on them. They're simply honoring an old, slightly cowardly cowboy tradition.
Wait, are you calling me a yellow-bellied, cross-eyed, barn-sour varmint?
No, not at all.
Cool, just checking.
The Always Wondered Podcast.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Always Wondered. Remember, new episodes come out every Friday. Hit subscribe so you'll always be in the loop, and check out some of our weird little videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Oh, and here's something we can never do enough, and that's give a well-deserved shout-out to the Podcast Playground. Now, those are the folks who host this little show. So what exactly does that mean? Well, pretend this podcast is a hot dog. I make the hot dog, but the Podcast Playground is the hot dog vendor sprinting up and down those flights of stairs at the ballpark yelling,
Hot dogs here!
and then getting that hot dog into your hands, whether you're sitting in the Apple Podcast section, the Spotify bleachers, or that one weird seat behind the pole called the obscure app that your cousin told you about.
He said it was really cool.
Anyway, we couldn't do any of this without them, and we appreciate all their support. All right, as always, we leave you with one to ponder. Have you always wondered, why do mattresses have designs on them when they're always covered by sheets? Until next time, stay curious and keep wondering. I'm Rick Peterson. Thanks for listening.
The Always Wondered Podcast.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and a review. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to offer suggestions for future topics or simply reach out to alwayswonderedpodcast@gmail.com.